In 2007, a 13-year-old from Stratford, Ontario, sat on a staircase with a guitar and sang a Neo song into a camcorder his mother had propped up for the relatives. And that home video, posted to YouTube so the family who missed a local singing contest could watch it, is the entire origin of one of the biggest pop careers of the century. A manager named Scooter Braun found the clip while he was looking for someone else, fell down the rabbit hole of a kid who could actually sing, and tracked the family through the school and the theater until Patty Millett agreed to put her son on a plane to Atlanta. Usher met him in a freezing parking lot, watched him perform, and signed him before anybody else got the chance. Justin Bieber was a teenager with a bowl cut and a record deal, and the same internet that built him would spend the next decade taking him apart. The rise was fast, and it was enormous. One Time landed in 2009, My World went platinum, and by the spring of 2010, My World 2.0 put him on top of the Billboard 200 as the youngest solo male act to debut at #1 in close to 50 years. Baby became the song you could not escape, the one your little sister played until the walls went thin, and for a long stretch, the most disliked video on the whole platform, which tells you how completely he had saturated the culture. He sold out Madison Square Garden in minutes. He had the hair, the 3D movie, the perfume, the crowds that needed steel barricades, and he was still too young to drive himself to any of it. Fame that size landed on a 16-year-old with no manual and no brakes, and the cracks were already showing under the gloss. By the middle of the decade, the story turned, and it turned in public the way everything about him did. There was the Lamborghini and the early morning arrest in Miami, the eggs thrown at a neighbor's house, the pet monkey that German customs seized and quarantined when the paperwork never arrived, the deposition tape where a brittle, bored kid sparred with a lawyer. The tabloids had their villain, and they ran him hard. And somewhere underneath all of it was a young man who had never once been allowed to be ordinary, watching the same crowd that had screamed his name start screaming for the crash. Comedy Central sat him in a chair and roasted him on television. He took every joke without flinching, and when it was finished, he apologized to a camera for who he had been. Purpose arrived in 2015, and it was very good. A real record from someone trying to grow up on schedule, while the whole world graded the homework. Then the touring caught up with him. He walked off the Purpose tour in 2017, with dates still on the board, said he needed his life, his faith, and his health in front of the schedule for once, and married Haley Baldwin the next year in a courthouse before the larger wedding. He kept working, Changes in 2020, and Justice in 2021, but a body and a schedule that had run without a break since he was 13 were both starting to give out. In June of 2022, he posted a video to Instagram, looked into the lens, and showed his fans that the right side of his face would not move. He had Ramsay Hunt syndrome, a virus that had gone after a nerve and left half his face paralyzed, and he could not blink that eye, or lift that side of his mouth, or sing the way the job demanded. He postponed the Justice Tour, then he canceled what was left of it, and for the first real time since the staircase video, he stopped. The quiet lasted longer than the headlines expected, and it was the right kind of quiet. He recovered slowly, stayed mostly out of frame, leaned on his marriage, on therapy, on a faith he discusses more openly than most people in his position would, and he became a father. The version of him that came back had been through something the manufactured teenager never had to survive, and it showed in how little he seemed to need from the spotlight. In July of 2025, he dropped an album called Swag with a few hours of warning and no campaign at all, then put out a second one the same way, like a man who had finally decided he did not owe the rollout to anybody. On the 11th of April in 2026, he headlined Coachella, walked onto the desert stage that has humbled far bigger names, and moved through the new songs and the old hits in front of a crowd that had grown up beside every chapter of this. He has not announced a sprawling world tour, and the people around him have been clear that he is unlikely to sign back up for the city after city grind that nearly finished him, with the talk pointing to select dates and a pace built around a face that took years to come all the way back. The boy on the staircase got everything the world had on offer before he was old enough to want it, lost a chunk of his 20s to how enormous it all became, and walked out the far side with a wife, a kid, 2 albums nobody saw coming, and the kind of second act the internet that raised him now gets to watch in real time. If you want to hear where he actually landed, go put swag on and sit with the whole thing, because the comeback is better than the headlines ever were.